Hello and welcome back to another episode of Taking Control of Cancer, the podcast brought to you by the North East London Cancer Alliance. And this is another one of our news episodes where we break down the ways in which cancer is making the news in a particular month. And in this month, we're talking about November 2025. And as always, I'm joined by Femi Odewale, who is the Managing Director of the North East London Cancer Alliance. Hello, Femi.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, really good, mate. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent.
We spoke about November the last time, and now look, we're here in
We're near the end
November
of we're near the end of November now,
Yeah.
so it's as good as any a place to kick it off, really, isn't it? I see. I mean, do we call that a moustache? We talked last time about our mutual difficulty in growing moustaches. We haven't really committed to it this month, but plenty do, and it's actually amazing. And I see, I do a lot of work at a rugby club, and Movember is big on the rugby scene. So we've got some reasonably horrendous moustaches going around our training ground at the moment. But
I've seen some of the curly whirly ones as well now. People
yeah, there
are
are some
taking it
pretty
serious.
fancy efforts, aren't there? It's yeah, a lot of time, a lot of efforts going into these moustaches, but there's a really important point behind it. And I think, as men, we can't talk enough about, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, these cancers that
Absolutely.
are are affecting guys, and we're not talking enough about it. And Movember is such an amazing, real set piece campaign that everybody's heard of, everyone knows about, everyone knows that is the month that we talk about men's health. And looking at the work of the North East London Cancer Alliance, you guys have done loads of work in this, which we
Wow.
kind of touched on last time, but we got a bit of a telling off, didn't we, Femi?
We did. So I'm going to specifically call out Caroline, who is my lead for early diagnosis. She told me off for not mentioning that we actually have a van that's touring the whole of Northeast London and is an awareness van and is raising a lot of awareness around prostate cancer, especially during the month of November. So Caroline, I'm doing what you've asked me to do right now, and I'm literally telling the world that they can get the information on our website to see where it's going to next. And please, absolutely engage. It's there to help promote earlier diagnosis where possible and early detection.
And to find out where the van's going, you can go along to the Cancer It's Not a Game campaign website on the North East London Cancer Alliance website. You can get information about the van, the campaign, and find out where it's going to be, and then head down, see the guys in the van, talk about how to get checked, any worries you have, any concerns you have. It's a great one. While you mentioned that, actually, Femi, this is a bit out of order, but you mentioned talking to the world, and we are talking to the world, aren't we? It turns out we're talking to because we've been downloaded in more than 50 countries.
It is. We have you, Steve. You changed the direction of travel. I was supposed to mention this right at the end, but you know what? We'll mention it now. We have been downloaded in 50 different countries, and spoiler alert is that we have also reached 1 million downloads on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I think Steve, well done to the work you're doing to support us with this. Well done to um, those who are listening. Thank you so much for listening. And I think it is really powerful to engage with people when it comes to this very, very, very important topic. So yeah, I think well done to all those listening. Thank you for all those listening, and
Yeah.
well to the team for pulling a whole long list of different topics in regards to cancer together.
It's amazing because we talk a lot about how we communicate with people, and we talk about diversity of the patch of Northeast London, but actually this is, often that's in the context of different languages, or
Mm,
translating documents and that kind of thing, offering services for different people, different communities. But actually this, podcast, the YouTube channel, all the work that Paul Thomas is doing. Paul's been on this podcast a couple of times. All the work you guys do from the outside. I don't live in Northeast London, but from the outside, I just think it's amazing the work that you as an alliance are doing to, to hit and to get to as many people as you can in, as we've said, a really challenging area for so many reasons. So yeah, well done to you guys as well.
yeah, thank you to the fantastic host. as well. Let's not forget that.
um, oh, right, listen. Next one that I want to talk
Is
about.
that you? Is that you blushing now? Is that
Ah,
you
well,
blushing? You're like,
stop
oh,
it,
I can't.
stop
Yeah,
it,
let's stop
you,
on me.
stop it. The next one I want to talk about is a piece in the Guardian, and it's a bit of early research done in the States, and it's looking at ultra processed food and whether that might be a factor for increasing, as we're seeing, a lot more younger people getting bowel cancer. And it's interesting, Femi, isn't it? The piece in the Guardian does say it's early research. The research, at this stage suggests there might be a link, but when we're talking about things like diet, things maybe outside of the traditional, just the treatment for the cancer, diet's a really important piece of the puzzle, isn't it?
It really is. And I mean, I said to you earlier, I think that we can do more on this. We are doing more in terms of, I mean, we're doing quite a bit on it. I just think I would like to see us doing more. So we do have videos that we've produced. We've invited dietitians or a dietitian to our podcast before. I think I'd like to see more of that, to be honest. I mean, there has always been a link, and we always hear this about processed foods. And it's one of those things that actually, yes, early stage studies, but I do think there just needs to be a lot more around,
Yeah,
actually what do we put in our bodies? And actually, could we avoid some of these ultra processed foods whilst we need to take? But it's a hard one, isn't it? People are busy during the
yeah,
day, but
but
it's
it is
important.
important. Like, I was chatting to a guy the other day. Actually, he's a former rugby player, played for 20 years at the top level, and he's sort of become a personal trainer. He does a lot of work with clients now, and he said when it comes to nutrition, his motto is if you can't pronounce more than two ingredients on the back of a packet,
Good food.
don't eat it. And
Good.
I think that's a really good sort of place to start, because we talk about on this podcast, it's called taking control of cancer.
Mm,
We know we can't prevent cancer, we can't always cure cancer, but there are things that we can all do. And one of them, whether you have cancer and you're going through treatment and you want to be able to tolerate your treatment better, whether you don't have cancer and you want to, as much as you can, try and prevent things like this happening to you, diet's a really important piece
mm.
of that puzzle. So yeah, massively important, just to keep hammering the message about ultra processed food. I know a lot of people, be listening and saying like, I've got, I'm really busy. We're all a bit skint at the moment. It's easy to reach for a packet of fish fingers in the freezer, isn't it? And I
Yeah,
think, every so often that's fine, but I think we do need to focus, on eating more healthily.
100%.
Um, well, this is a really interesting one. This next one, because this was a piece of research by Cancer Research UK, and I saw it in a few newspapers. Actually, I was down in London yesterday, recording some more of these podcasts, and we were talking about this survey, because it's a Cancer Research UK survey of 6,844 people, and it revealed that over half anticipated challenges in booking a GP's appointment. So over half the people surveyed said that they wouldn't go to the doctor because they perceive there to be an issue in getting appointments. Uh, they put off going to the doctor because they think they might be making a fuss. That's um, I I've lost the sorry, 2 in 5 delayed a visit because they didn't want to be seen to making a fuss. 44% believed their symptom was not serious. 43% of people asked said they were choosing to try and manage it themselves. These are all things that people are saying we should be going to the GP with. And it's interesting, Femi, isn't it? Because we know the strain on GPs, but the point to keep emphasising is if you've got something that needs checking, there is an appointment for you.
You've said it well. You've said it perfectly well. That is the key thing there. If you see any symptoms, if you see anything that is a challenge, especially when especially on this topic, you do need to go and see your GPs, and you need to go and see your GP. You really do. So I think I mean, I don't have any more comments on that. I think you just really just
Yeah,
you said it spot on.
it's so interesting. Paul and I were talking yesterday about. He mentioned like Oasis tickets, and this is a really interesting one that I think if someone said to me, "Do you think getting an Oasis ticket it would be easy?" When they first came out, I would say definitely not. It would be really difficult. There might be 1 in 20 people get them, but you still sit there for 10 hours on your
Yeah,
phone waiting for that opportunity to get one. Whereas when it comes to a GP appointment for something potentially really, really serious, we go, oh, you know what? I'm not going to call because I don't think I might get, I might not get an appointment, or I might not get through, or I'm making a fuss, or I just feel it's quite damning on people's people's appreciation of their own health. This
yeah,
is important stuff. If you've got something
yeah,
that needs checking out, you have to get it checked out.
yeah. And as we are in the month of November, I must say that I think a lot of men, us men, we are main culprits of this, and we've seen it through various different other campaigns as well, where actually wives or partners have forced their
Yeah,
their husbands to present when they've seen odd signs or odd symptoms, shall I say? So there is I think we're probably the main culprits, but nevertheless, the message is still the same, isn't it? Which is if we need to we need to take our health seriously, and we need to take the time to get in contact with our GPs, because we can see more Oasis concerts in future just by
absolutely.
making that just by making some of those changes. I'm not trying to say that. Boy, let me just leave it as that. Let me just leave it as that.
I think we just, we'll take any opportunity to sort of kid ourselves that we've made an effort to go and
Yeah.
see a doctor. So if someone, says, "Oh, have you seen a doctor about that?" You say, "Well, I tried, but there wasn't an appointment, or I tried, I
Mm,
was on the phone line for 10 minutes, and then I didn't get through," and it's just, yeah, dead frustrating. Actually, the guy you mentioned about wives forcing their husbands in, that's the story of Steve Brown,
mm,
who's used as Cancer Research UK's kind of example for the story in some of the papers that they've managed to place this survey as someone who was diagnosed with IBS, kept getting symptoms. Eventually, he's gone back because his wife's basically forced him, and he's been diagnosed with bowel cancer. And he's, a shiny example that, you know, if you think something is wrong, you've got to make an appointment. You've got to keep hammering away at that door, even if it's a bit frustrating at times.
yeah.
It's yeah, massively important stuff. Femi, Um, what else have we got? What else have we got? Listen, the last thing I want to mention before we finish is a new communications channel, and Paul will kill me if I don't mention this because you guys have got a new WhatsApp for business public channel, haven't you?
We do indeed. And again, you'll see all the details on our website for this as well. But what it does is it allows you to be able to communicate with us via WhatsApp. So we'll be able to get all the news, all the latest information to you via WhatsApp as well. It's also quite engaging as well. So definitely worth taking a look at that platform as well. So we're trying to modernize, as you
Yeah,
can see, Steve. We're trying to
I like it. I like it.
we're trying to get in there in every way to try and just ensure that we spread the right message across and have that engagement with our communities and those that are listening or visiting our websites.
WhatsApp's a really good way of doing it
It
because
is. It's
for
easy.
anybody, yeah, for anybody kind of concerned about joining the group, there's no sharing of information. Nobody can see your number. You're not getting added to any mailing lists or anything like that. Nobody can come back on you on on comments you might make or any interaction you have with the admins with the alliance. So it's just a really great channel for the alliance to share news, updates, links to web pages, information on this podcast, information on videos, campaigns. Just a really great thing. So I'll put a link to the channel in the show notes for this podcast. So if you are interested, go and check that out and join. Femi, thank you so much. That's November gone, and the next time we will talk will be looking back on December, and
And
it's
you'll be shaving because November is over. You're going to shave the
Kai,
mustache
we've
and the beard.
already been there 5 minutes. It's not happening, but it's isn't it wild how fast this year is going?
It
It's
is. Yeah.
absolutely mad. So, before we know it, it's absolutely you know Baltic outside, and it's
Well, it's already started. I mean, this today is absolutely, it was blitz. I was up first thing this morning and I just couldn't get out of bed because it was just freezing cold.
yeah,
So God knows what we're about to go into, and
yeah.
then in the next month, the next time we do this,
Well, yeah, yeah. Stay
I'll
warm.
see us with with a scarf and a hat.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's what it'll be. Yeah, but yeah. So thank you so much, Femi. Thank you everyone else for listening as well.
Thank you.
We will speak to you again on the news episodes back end of December. In the meantime, go and check out other episodes we've been doing. We've got some great ones coming up. We recorded one yesterday on bowel screenings, psychosocial support, colonoscopies. We talked about yesterday on one of the podcasts. So if you're interested in a technique to provide your bowel screening sample, we've got a podcast for you. I'll leave it at that.